In this video analysis of a scene from the first season of Stranger Things, we investigate a cliff scene where Mike Wheeler jumps off and is saved by Eleven. Eleven possesses telekinesis powers, which she employs to control objects with her mind. I aim to explore the measurable strength of Eleven's telekinesis using the principles of power of physics. The scene takes place at Bellwood Quarry in Atlanta, Georgia, where Mike leaps off the cliff to rescue his endangered friend Dustin Henderson. Before examining the rest of the scene, we analyze the height, displacement, acceleration, velocity, and the time of Mike's free fall. Given the acceleration of gravity as 9.81 meters per second squared, Mike starts at rest with an initial velocity of 0 meters per second. Next, the more challenging numbers. After many hours of searching the internet to find the actor's height, back in season 1, I managed to find the height of Millie Bobby Brown, the actress who portrays Eleven in Stranger Things. Using her height as reference, I then estimated the approximate height of Gaten Matarazzo, the actor who plays Dustin Henderson, by carefully examining a scene featuring Eleven in a pool, where the water level reaches her knee. I was able to measure the height of Dustin in relation to Eleven by determining the heights of the actors through careful observation and estimation. We approximate Mike's displacement during the fall to be around 9.77 meters. Although the exact time of the fall is not shown, meaning not possible to calculate with a stopwatch, we must use acceleration formulas, and from there we find the final velocity to be 13.85 meters per second, and the estimated time to be approximately 1.41 seconds with the other acceleration formula. This approach allowed me to estimate based on precise measurements when visual cues were not readily available. We will assume that with Eleven's supernatural powers, it has been used to slow down and cushion Mike Wheeler's fall, so he wouldn't have died at impact due to her force field. Moving into the more detailed analysis, let's examine Mike's free fall using free body diagrams. The force of gravity is pulling him towards the ground while the air resistance also comes into play. Although it's challenging to identify the exact measurements, before his fall begins, we can consider the potential gravitational energy in that split second. With the cliff height at Bellwood Quarry estimated to be around 68.58 meters from the water's surface, and the actor's approximate weight as 48.08 kilograms. The gravitational potential energy amounts to approximately 32,346.77 joules. Furthermore, we can determine the force of gravity acting on Mike, which equates to 471.66 newtons. Moving to the next part of the scene, let's consider the situation when Eleven is holding Mike in mid-air. In this case, we can observe the force of gravity still acting on Mike, but there's an additional force applied by Eleven's powers to keep him suspended. Since Mike is not moving yet, the applied force is equal to the force of gravity, which amounts to 471.66 newtons as mentioned previously. We can calculate Mike Wheeler's new gravitational potential energy at this moment. The new height is calculated by subtracting the height of his free fall from the cliff's height, resulting in 58.81 meters. Therefore, the gravitational potential energy is 27,738.61 joules. In the next part of the scene, Eleven effortlessly lifts Mike back up to the top of the cliff. To calculate the forces involved, we first must determine the displacement in both the x-axis, 6 meters, and the y-axis, 12.58 meters. Using these values, the total displacement is found to be 13.92 meters. The average velocity is later calculated as 1.11 meters per second. With this information, the acceleration is determined to be approximately 0.18 meters per second squared in the upward direction. From the acceleration, we find the net forces for both axes. The power required to lift Mike vertically for the displacement is 8.68 watts, while moving him horizontally requires 4.15 watts. The kinetic energy required to lift Mike is found to be 29.62 joules based on the average velocity. Eleven's remarkable powers were instrumental in saving both Mike Wheeler from a dangerous fall and Dustin Henderson from the bullies. While we know that telekinesis isn't real, analyzing the physics involved in the scene provides an interesting perspective. Considering Eleven's previous stunts, such as flipping a car, this particular act may not have been challenging for her. Although we had to make several estimations and assumptions, it was a fascinating endeavor to measure the extent of Eleven's incredible fictional capabilities.